Hi, I'm Louise and welcome to Yoga to Help Wake You Up. If you'd like to use a block for this class, you can grab one now and I'll meet you at the top of your mat. If you'd like to use a block for this class, you can get it now and just put it off to the side. I'll show you where you can use that to help with your stretches a little bit more. We're going to start this class today down on our backs. So come down to your back, kind of as you would for Shavasana if we were ending the class. You should feel both your shoulders against the mat, your spine against the mat, your hips, the backs of your legs. You can open up your hands so your palms face up towards the ceiling to open up the chest a little bit more. Back of the head against the mat. And just take a few breaths just to settle in. You're probably doing this in the morning, right after you get out of bed, or sometimes these kind of classes are good in the middle of the afternoon if you're having a little bit of a slump and you just want a gentle way to give yourself a little bit of energy. Try and match the length of your inhales versus your exhales. So if you're inhaling to 3, you want to exhale to 3. If you feel like you're starting to lose the breath at any time during the class, just take a moment and pause. Try and reconnect with your breath. On your next inhale, you're going to bring your right knee up towards your chest. If it's more comfortable for you to put your left foot on the mat and bend your left knee, if that feels better on your back, if your hip flexors aren't as open, you can do that. And just kind of hug the knee towards your chest and kind of move it back and forth. You want to try and wiggle it more towards your armpit. You can do some nice gentle knee circles. If you have a little bit more space, a little bit more to give, you can straighten your left leg down. Keep the toes pointing up towards the ceiling. As you're moving your right knee, you might want to start to trace some circles with your ankle. Try and wake it up a little bit. We're going to find a little bit of stillness. So hug that knee in, shoulders back. On your next inhale, we're going to cross the knee over into a slight twist. We're not super warmed up, so if you want to use your block, you can put your block down and just aim for your knee to rest on your block. Try and keep your shoulders square to the ground. I like to put my right arm out to kind of anchor a little bit. And if it's just your foot resting on the ground and your knee is way up here, that's perfectly fine. We're not warmed up yet. It's just a nice gentle twist to help wake up the spine. Take a deep breath, shoulders to the mat, and exhale back to center. Both legs out. Inhale, left knee in. Kind of compress it down towards your ribs and start to wiggle it out a bit towards your armpit. Again, if you want to keep your right knee bent, keep your knee falling out towards the side to open up that hip flexor a little bit. You can do that. Just find some little wiggles. Start to move the ankle. If you have a little bit more to give and you want to straighten the right leg, you can. Toes towards the ceiling, make sure it's nice and active. Other direction for the ankle circles. A little bit more knee circles and wiggles. And then on your next inhale, find a little bit of stillness. cross over into your twist. If you want to bring your block again, I'm going to scooch back a little bit. My space is small, and I'm just going to let my leg kind of rest on my block a little bit. So I'm twisting, but I'm not forcing any twist, and I've got a little bit of I brought the floor up to my foot so it doesn't feel as harsh on my back. You shouldn't feel any pinching or anything like that. If you are, then just back off a little bit. And on your next exhale, back to center. Knees up towards the ceiling. Feet planted in the mat, hip width apart. If you can, reach your fingers to try and touch your heels. Just tickle them a little bit. And root your hands into the mat, feet into the mat, all four corners press in. And we're going to raise up slightly into a bridge pose. Tailbone tucking towards the knees. You want everything going in that direction. Shoulders back. Just a light bridge pose. Activate your feet. You want to feel like your feet are pushing into the mat and like you're going to pull your heels back to you. You should feel your lower body really turned on right now. Your glutes, your hamstrings, your hip flexors. Next exhale, lower it down. Bring both knees into the chest. And depending on your compression, you can just hold on to a knee on each side. If you have a little bit more, you can cross your arms around. If you can reach your elbows, you can do that. Try and keep your spine long. Just kind of wiggle out a little bit. And we're going to start to make a little bit of a rock and roll motion. So feet up, you can hold on to the backs of your legs. We're going to try and rock up on our spine. Just sitting up just a little bit, up to your bum. There we go. You should feel yourself waking up a little bit. If you've got it in you, you can just come to a seated. If that didn't work, just come to a nice seated position. Again, if sitting on a block helps open your hips a little bit more, if it's a little bit more comfortable, or sitting on a blanket, you can do that as well. Just cross your legs however feels comfortable. If they're open a little bit more like this, that's fine. If it's a little bit more tucked in, that's good as well. You just want to keep your shoulders and your torso above your hips. Put your hands on your knees. Take a deep breath in, bring your shoulders up to your ears and shrug them down and back. Try that again. Left hand next to your left hip, right arm up. Gonna arch over, lots of space between your right fingertips and your right hip. Push both hips down into the ground evenly. And exhale, right hand down, left hand up. Again, create space between your left hip and your left fingertips. Feel that right rib cage or left rib cage expanding when you inhale. And exhale, left hand down. Switch the cross of your legs. Find your comfort. Inhale, both hands up. Exhale, fold forward. Now, just go forward as much as is comfortable for you. Again, we want to make this a nice, gentle way to wake up the body. If you feel like you have a little bit more to give, you can start to walk your hands out. Again, keeping your hips pressing evenly down into the mat or the blanket or block you're sitting on. Back flat. Just look out straight ahead. On your next inhale, start to walk your hands over to the right. Just want to aim your chest towards your right knee. You don't want to crank anything or force anything. If you're just up here, that's perfectly fine as well. It is early on in the practice. Just go to where your comfort zone is. You don't want to force anything. On your exhale, walk your hands over to the left. Avoid any weird bed frames you have in your room. Left chest towards the left knee. Back flat, both hips grounded down squarely into the mat. Come back to the center. Walk yourself back up straight. We're going to come into tabletop. I don't know about you, but I can't do a morning class without cat-cow. So, shoulders and wrists stacked on each other. Hands, spread your fingers wide and bring your knuckles into the mat. You're going to grip it just a little bit. You want to be able to feel the knuckles above your palm, the back of your palm, and your fingertips reaching into the mat. Knees under hips. Just start to wiggle out a little bit. If you want to start to turn your hands to the side, I'm going to stretch our wrists just a little bit. And bring your hands back to center. Take a deep breath. Pull your chest through your shoulders. Look up. Tailbone to the ceiling. Round, arch your back. Exhale. Round everything. So chin to chest. Shoulder blades up. Tailbone down. Inhale up. Exhale, round. Inhale up. Exhale, round. Come back to center. Take your left hand. You can move it a little bit closer to the center if you like. Weight in knees evenly. A little bit of a bend in the elbow. You never want to lock out your joints. Inhale, right arm up. Open towards the right hand side of the mat. On your exhale, you're going to scoop your arm under and bring your shoulder down to the mat. Thread the needle. You can play around with your left arm. I sometimes like to bring mine out a little bit up above to give me a bit more space. Head and ear to the mat. And you want to feel this in the back of your right shoulder. If you've got a little bit more to give, you want a little bit more space, you can straighten your right leg, come up onto your left fingertips, keep your hips facing the mat. Bring your left hand back. If you had your leg extended, bring your knee down and unwind. Right arm up. You might feel a little bit more open now. And back down. Quick reset. Chest forward. Cow pose. Rounded cat pose. Right hand to the middle. Weight evenly in the knees. A little bit of bend in the elbow. Left arm open up, turn your chest to the left side. On the exhale, we're going to scoop it under and bring our left shoulder down to the mat. Again, if you want to bring your right hand out in front of you a little bit, I like to go up on my fingertips. I feel like it gives me a little bit more space. And bring my right leg out, extend it, curl my toes under. And I can kind of push back a little bit more so I can feel it a little bit more on the back of my shoulder. Hips square to the mat. right hand back. If your leg was up, bring your knee down. Inhale, open. Exhale, back down. One more to reset. Inhale, arch your back. Exhale, round your back. Gonna stay up on our knees now. Hips and knees stacked. And just walk your hands out into a puppy pose. Bring your forehead down. Try and keep those shoulders activated. If you want, you can use your block. Bring the mat to your forehead. So raise it up a little bit. It can be a little bit of an intense shoulder stretch. If your forehead's down and you feel like you've got a little bit more to give, you can come up onto your fingertips. You'll be feeling this in the sides, in your armpits, in your shoulders. Keep your hands and arms nice and active. Deep breath in and exhale. Come up to kneeling. Gonna kneel with our bum towards our ankles. And again, if you have a block, this might come in handy. I'll start on this side so you can see what I'm doing. We're gonna bring our left hand back by our foot. So if you need the block, you can put your hand on it. You can just go up onto your fingertips to give you a bit more space. And on the inhale, we're gonna rise up and stretch just a little bit. Exhale down, bring it over, right hand side. If you need to adjust your blocks, you have a little bit more height, you can adjust it this way, and instantly becomes a bit more accessible. Just kind of move back and forth with our dancing camel, helping to wake up the front body. One more on each side. Inhale, hold just a little bit. Squeeze your bum, push your hips towards the front of the room. Exhale down. Inhale up, reach your arm up. Front body towards the front of the room. Exhale, let it settle. Plant your hands, come back onto your knees, scoot your knees back a little bit, curl your toes under, lift up your hips into your first downward facing dog. Again, it's still early, keep your knees bent, belly to thigh. Ground your hands into the mat evenly. Remember that grip you want to feel so you can feel your knuckles and fingertips in. You can start to bend and straighten your knees slightly for a little bit of a wiggle. Move side to side. Just find your comfort. Hips reaching up towards the sky. You want to feel a lot of length between your fingertips and your hips. Open armpits, sides lengthen, and find a little bit of stillness. On your next inhale, we're going to raise our right leg up. Try and keep your foot and your knee, everything pointed towards the mat. Bend your knee, bring it in towards your chest. If you need to, come up onto your fingertips, bring your foot forward between your hands. If that didn't work, if you only made it to here, just use your hand to go the rest of the way. That's fine, there's no shame in lifting your foot. Drop your back knee, low lunge. Knee over ankle. You can interlace your fingers, just put them on your knee like this. Try and bring your chest back. You can keep your toes curled under to help activate your leg a little bit more. Squeeze your left bum cheek. If you need to double over your mat, if your knees are uncomfortable, you can do that as well. Find where you're comfortable. As long as you're practicing safely, it doesn't need to look like everybody else's. You don't need to go as deep as other people. Just find where you're comfortable, where you're getting a nice stretch and you're enjoying yourself. Left hand down onto the mat. Right hand open up into an easy twist. If you want a little bit more, you can tuck your toes under. Bring your left knee off the ground, straighten your legs, power it up just a little bit more, getting into those hip flexors, strengthening those legs. And exhale, left hand down, come back to your knees, curl your toes under, belly to thighs, hips up, downward facing dog. We're going to move to the left side. So left leg up, toes and knees pointing down towards the floor. Bend your knee, round your back like cat. Bring your foot forward, put it down in between your hands. If you need to go a little bit more wider to create more space, you can do that as well. And then just wiggle it into the middle. Drop your back knee. If you want to fold over your mat, you can do that as well. Interlace your fingers, bring them up onto your left knee. Keep that knee over ankle. And you want to just slowly start to sink into that lunge. Activate that right glute to open up that hip flexor. Torso over hips. You don't want to be leaning. A little bit of a back bend here. Let go of the cross of your hands. Put your right hand down. Twist open to the left hand side. If you want a little bit more, tuck those toes under. Straighten that back leg. Keep that left knee going towards the center. Push into all four corners of the foot. Knee close to the body. Easy twist. Look down. Bring your left hand down, come back on your knees. If you want to, you can widen your knees. You're going to go into a quick wide-legged child's pose. Forehead down on the mat. If you want a little bit more on the shoulders, come up onto the fingertips. Take a deep breath, let all that energy settle, and exhale. You should be feeling a lot warmer now. Inhale, back up onto the knees. We're going to continue kneeling for this. So if you want to double over your mat, you can. If you've got a little blanket or a towel to put under, you can always pause the video and go grab that real quick. I'm going to face towards the side here so you can see what I'm doing a little bit easier. So on both knees, I'm going to bring the left foot out, just straight. Foot parallel to the short end of the mat. So toes pointing forward, hips pointing forward. And just very lightly take your left hand, put it above your left knee. You don't want to be pushing into it, you just kind of want to rest it. Right hand up and start to arch over a little bit. You can even drop your hand to the back of your thigh a little bit. Squeeze your right bum cheek, turn on that hip flexor, and keep yourself up and over. You don't want to be leaning forward. You don't even need to arch over very much. You just want to feel a nice stretch between your hip and your fingertips. Gate pose. On the exhale, going to put your right hand down, stretch your left arm over. This is a variation of a supported side plank. So again, you should be feeling as much distance as you can between your left foot and your left fingertips. I have very long arms and long fingers, so I've run out of room a little bit here. So I'm pushing into the window. Hopefully you've got a bit more of a space where you're practicing, but at least it's nice to see you can practice yoga in a small space. All right. left arm, start to bring it back, back, back towards, and you're going to use that momentum to bring yourself up. If you needed a little help getting there, that's fine. It's all in your obliques. Hands to the front of the mat, and we're going to come back onto our bum with our right foot folded in this way in a half straddle. So bring your right foot along the inside of your thigh. Find both your hips on the mat. And we're going to go for that side stretch once again. So you can put your hand in front of your left leg here like this, and just again reach up. And if you're near a wall, you want to pretend like you're going to sit your back up against the wall. You want to stay nice and up with this. You don't want to be reaching over or anything like that. Just a nice side stretch. And on your exhale, right hand down by your right hip. We're going to come forward onto our right knee and open up into a baby wild thing. So you should feel this whole front body stretch. And back down. Come back up to your knees. We're going to do that on the other side now. So rise up onto both your knees. Right foot out, straight out from the body. Foot facing forward, facing the front of the room. And plant your whole foot down. So you should feel the knife edge side of your foot on the mat as well. Right hand, just let it drape by the right leg. Inhale, left arm up. Again, squeeze those butt cheeks, kind of push those hips a little bit forward to get a really nice open on this side of the body. Gate pose. It's a really nice stretch, a little bit intense, but it's a nice way to wake up. And exhale, left hand down, right arm up overhead. Supported side plank. Feel those obliques, feel that nice stretch. Get a nice rainbow shape in your torso. Another inhale and exhale. Float back up. If that float up is a little bit tough, you'll get there. That supported side plank will help strengthen your obliques so you can use your core to come back up. Hands in front of you if you need to. Adjust your foot and come back into this nice half straddle. Right hand either in front of the right leg, or you can go behind it. Back straight, hips to the mat, and reach up over. Lots of side stretches. Really help wake up that body. Both hips planted. A little bit more, reach, 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 and exhale. Left hand down behind you, just right off next to your hip, and inhale up into your baby wild thing. You can put your arms straight up. If you've got the space in your room, you can kind of start to go backwards a little bit. I don't really have that kind of space. One more breath in, and exhale back down. And come back to kneeling, and we're going to go into our back bend, which is camel. We did a little bit of camel in the beginning of the class when we were doing that dancing camel of moving back and forth. This time we're just going to come into just a single camel and just hold it for a few seconds. So come up onto your knees, legs hip width apart. You can check with your fists like that, and hands on your waist. Take a deep breath in and exhale. So what you want to do now is you want to take your palms and put them on your back like you were going to put them into pockets. If you have pockets, that's even better. Take a deep breath in, rise up from your chest, and start to go back just a little bit, just a slight back bend. Activate your glutes, squeeze your bum cheeks towards the front of the room, push your hips like you were going to push this part of your body up against a wall. You can put your head back a little bit, it's hard for me to talk that way. And on your next exhale, just going to come back into a child's pose. So knees slightly together, arms back, head down. If you've got a block, you want to round down onto that. You should feel a nice rounding of the spine to counteract that back bend. Just let that energy settle. Back bends, when you open up the heart, they tend to make the heart beat a little bit faster. The breath becomes a little bit more constricted, so they can be a little bit scary at times. But you just have to take it slow and just remember that you should still be able to breathe deeply in your back bend. When you're ready, you can back out of your child's pose and just come back to seated. So if you can just cross your legs and roll over, or if you need to swing your legs out in front, that's fine. And just legs out in front of you, back straight. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, you can do that. You can always put your block underneath your knees like this. Hands down by your hips, shoulders back. Staff pose, Dandasana. Your whole body should be active. Toes reaching up towards the ceiling. And exhale. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. If this is comfortable for you with your block underneath, it helps. It helps with the hamstrings a lot because your knees are bent. You still have that belly to thigh compression and you can reach forward. Try not to round your back. If your hands only go this far, if they're up on your thighs, that's fine. You want a nice flat back as you're reaching forward. You should be comfortable, but you should feel stretch. Another breath in. And on the exhale, start to back you up just a little bit. Walk your hands in. You don't want to move too quickly. You can move your block aside. And we're going to open up into a straddle. Now this is just depends on where your legs can open up and how they're comfortable. And you want to kind of take the fleshy parts of your bum, move them aside a little bit, plant your hips. And you want to see where you can sit where it's a flat back. If your legs are still bent, that's fine. And just stay up. You can put your hands behind you if that helps a little bit. If you need to move so you're up against the wall to help your back a little bit, that's fine as well. And then find your edge. So I'm going to start to crawl forward a little bit. If you've got your block, you can always put your block in front of you. Put your elbows on your block. Flat back, feet up towards the sky. Keep the legs nice and active. If you've got a little bit more, you can start to walk out a little bit, but just where you're comfortable. You don't want anything to be painful. You just want a nice, comfortable fold. And on your next exhale, you're going to start to slowly walk yourself back in. So you're sitting up. Bring your legs back to a more comfortable cross-legged position. Inhale, your arms up, hands together in a prayer position, and just bring them back down. Down towards your chest. Kind of sit your ribs. You should feel a nice stretch on the back of your neck. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Thank you so much. Because we're doing a more wake up the body class, I'm not going to add a Shavasana in because we started off laying down, because there's always the risk of falling back asleep. If you would like to have a little lie down for a second to help that energy settle, or you can just get up and get on with your day. I hope you enjoyed this class. I'll be adding more to my channel a lot more often than I have been. If you haven't already, please click subscribe. If you have a like, you can always give it a like. You can leave me a comment. And if you want to contact me on Instagram, the information is there as well. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again.